So, I'm going to talk about Succession again, because the other video was barely audible, and yeah, I think that even though there's some wind here, you can hear it. I'm going to say straight up spoilers ahead. I don't want to make a distinction today. So, context for this second part, yeah, the first one, I've said some stuff and I wanted to get it out, but I still think it's kind of not all of what I wanted to say. Like, I didn't go deep enough. And yeah, also I've been watching some video essays and behind the scenes stuff and interviews with the actors and all that shit, and yeah, I have some more thoughts. So yeah, the first thing I wanted to talk about, well, the title of the video I think is going to be something like Honesty is Hard, or The Problem of Honesty, or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Kind of like the problem of consciousness, but instead of consciousness it's like honesty, you know, like it's a problem to solve that's unsolved. That's what I want to convey with that thing. And yeah, basically the first thing is about Shiv and Tom and their relationship. And yeah, I wanted to say that yeah, I've been watching some videos and yeah, I've written in comments that that is like their relationship is something that I do think has been like the biggest emotional moment for me in the show, except maybe yeah, the Connor's wedding, for example. Yeah, apart from Connor's wedding, have been basically Tom and Shiv's conversations. Well, conversations. When they start to keep it real and they have they talk about some of their stuff. Those are the moments where I've been like hit hardest. And yeah, I have in my notes something about Shiv being closed off. Yeah, basically both parties hit. You know, it's not that I just relate to Tom or that I just relate to Shiv or something. It's I relate to like energy in both people. And for example, with Shiv being this closed off person who you can't trust, I don't know, I feel for that, and I relate, and her position and her way of engaging with the world and all that. It's like she's calculating and she's cold and all that shit. But to me that's understandable when you take into account that part of that she can't trust people, and that you can even see that in her personal relationships. Yeah, and yeah, it's like hard to watch for me. But I don't know if exactly cathartic, but yeah, it's interesting to see. And yeah, those are parts that I like, even though they make me, I don't know, emotional, sad, or whatever. And yeah, aside from her being closed off and finding it hard to trust and all that, like the counterpoint of like Tom essentially being the counterpoint of that, I wrote here Tom not knowing. I meant it in the sense of like Tom, it's like he's kind of two-faced in that sense that he is both kind of a victim of the circumstances, I guess, of wanting to be with someone that's closed off. So he's a victim of that, of receiving that closed offness and not being trusted back, giving something and not receiving. And yeah, but also that kind of not knowing when to exit, I guess, even though in the show stuff played out for him in the kind of getting to run the company sense, it didn't. You can say that the finale ends with a tense moment. You know, it's with Shiv like bowing down to him in a sense, but also not fully trusting. Shiv keeps being Shiv and keeps not trusting him. And yeah, he gets the company and he gets to run it and he gets the wife back and he has a kid, but it's in this tense circumstance of him like still probably being in this path of being with someone who who doesn't trust in him fully, and you can tell by the the hand holding and how it's basically a you won hand hold, but it's not a I trust you now hand hold. There's, I guess, a happy ending in the air where she learns to trust him or whatever, or she accepts her position or something like that, or they get into a dynamic that works for them. But yeah, I get more bitter vibes than sweet vibes from that. And yeah, there are some lines from Tom that hit really hard, like when he tells Shiv that basically it's not my fault that your dad didn't give you validation. I gave you all the validation that you could ever want, and you didn't care because you're broken. That line was fucking tough. And being on, I don't exactly know if I relate to being in that place, but because I think I generally am I'm more like Shiv in the closed off part, but I don't know, there's something in me that is like, damn. Yeah. And then the next thing I had was, yeah, Roman and his weird sex things and all that. Basically, yeah, I saw some kind of a video essay, kind of 15 minutes, but yeah, some kind of video essay about Roman and all that, and yeah, essentially all the comments were like, yeah, he's fucked up or whatever, he's been abused and all that shit, and yeah, all that, but I don't relate to the part of being abused, because maybe some neglect or something like that, but nothing too like hard, like what happened, like the anecdotes that he tells in the show of the thing being in the cage or whatever. But there is this thing where, for example, when he is talking about being in the cage, the way he remembers it is like being it's like negative, and he not wanting to be in that cage, for example, and the brothers remember it like him asking to like Roman asking to be in that cage, and it being a game that he liked to play. So, and also the video talked about that kind of duality of essentially stated preferences versus revealed preferences or something like that. Maybe that's not the exact words, but yeah, that kind of vibe of him saying something, saying that he wants something when he doesn't actually want it, just because that's how he learned to survive in that environment or whatever. And I don't know, it's interesting seeing it like that. And I don't know if I exactly relate to it myself or what, but yeah, it's something that makes you think, I guess. And yeah, also that, for example, with his relationship with Tabitha and all that, it starts in this part of her being something that he doesn't want. Yeah, it's like always being the opposite of what he wants or something like that. For example, she's the girl who has a lot of sex, she's like promiscuous or whatever, and he wants her, but to not have sex with her. So like to play into that opposite or whatever. And then when he goes into Jerry, it's like he wants her because he can't have her because it would be like too wrong or something like that. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that play out and to think about whether I'm like that or not. Yeah, I don't want to get into detail in this video or whatever, because it's not about that, I guess. Well, it can be about whatever the fuck I want about. Yeah, I don't want to get into it, but yeah, I do think if there's something like that going on in my head or something like that. And I think those are the main things I wanted to talk about. Maybe as an extra, I don't know how much time I get until 20 minutes, but because I'm recording with a camera outside, I don't know if you can tell, but yeah. Kendall, well, the actor, Jeremy Strong, I like, this is about like behind the scenes stuff, I guess, but I like how he comes across in interviews. There's a lot of people saying that he shouldn't have to say that he's pedantic. because I guess there was a wave of people saying that he was pedantic, and then a wave of counter pedantism or whatever, or counter support to say no, he isn't pedantic, he is like true or whatever, he likes his crap. Yeah, and I do like the way he comes across. He seems like he takes acting seriously, and I like to see that. I like to see, like in the show, when Logan tells his kids that they are not serious people. I like to see serious people, you know. And yeah, he seems to take stuff seriously. He mentions some books that I had. He quotes Rilke, which is a book that I got gifted, and yeah, I don't know, I felt some kind of something there. I was like, damn, this guy is kind of exploring these parts of his art. He's kind of diving deeper into it. He's looking for influences. And it felt interesting. He gave some book recommendations, and I have them around. I'll probably look at them. And yeah, I don't know, basically that. I might make yet another video about it. Maybe I'll even remake this one or combine both into one and maybe edit it, I don't know. But yeah, this was my succession. Yeah, and I wanted to, before that, maybe I should have said this before the Jeremy Strong thing, but I wanted to like talk about this title that I gave the video, like this, honesty is hard, because I think that that's kind of the overarching theme of the show, you know, kind of honesty, because people, you know, the show is apparently about power, about dynamics, about family, about a family business, about Fox News, about commenting on America and how everything's molded from the inside and how shit actually works and how shit actually gets done, how the residents get elected, you know. That's kind of the narrative of what the show is about. And I guess there's a truth to that, obviously, it is about it, but I think that kind of the theme that really cuts deep in the show, and like, I guess the thing that emotionally ties you to the show is how it's this sense of honesty and how honesty is hard. You know, I think there are people who get it, who get that honesty is hard, how honesty is difficult, how it's difficult to be true, not to yourself but to other people or to in general. And there are the people who don't get that part and who don't get emotionally pushed by that and who are more into the dynamics and all that. And I think that there's that divide, and there's a lot of people who comment on the dynamics of the people and all that from that perspective of honesty is hard, and there are other people who comment from the other perspective of like, what the fuck are you talking about, honesty is easy, you could just be true or something like that. And yeah, they judged Shiv based on this, you should be honest or something like that, or they judged the other characters, or they judge, I guess, Kendall, or well, yeah, they judge Kendall on this honesty thing. And yeah, so it's like essentially they try to like take blame of Kendall from the cover up of the fucking killing of the kid, well, the death of the kid, and they try to take responsibility from him. Yeah, essentially that there's like a lot of arguments, something that in my opinion are done from this place of not understanding the honesty component of it. There's a lot of commentary and a lot of loud critiques or whatever without feeling this honesty, or this lack of honesty, or this like difficulty in deploying honesty and in being honest. Like, that's kind of the running theme of the show. It's like, yeah, Kendall fucking killed the kid or whatever, but, or maybe he didn't do it and the responsibility is on both, or yeah, I don't know. Or maybe people want to critique capitalism for this power dynamics or whatever. Who gives a shit? But the thing that I connect to is like, Kendall knows he's been dishonest. Kendall knows that he cannot tell the truth because he's tied up. His father protects him, but he protects him in exchange of like removing honesty. You know, he removes honesty from the relationship. He now has a secret. He now has, they removed the card from the car, so he cannot be really judged by for his actions and for the consequences of his actions, whatever those consequences are. Because maybe there is some argument to say that maybe he would be like more judged than other people because he has like media exposure and all that. But maybe there's an argument to be said that that's fair. I don't know. But yeah, essentially that it's this honesty thing which like cuts through all like the meaningful events of the series, and like or at least the ones that I find more meaningful. And yeah, it's always this game of Logan either doesn't know or cannot be honest about who he wants to run the company. And yeah, I think that when he is actually honest, then the kids cannot accept that as honest because of all the baggage that he has like imposed upon them. He isn't like honest enough, I guess. He doesn't raise up to the circumstances and says, okay kids, this is it. I've told you this and all that, and he should have apologized or something like that. He should have said, I've told you all this. I've told you all these lies. I did tell you, Kendall, when you were 7 years old that you were going to get the company, but I lied to you. Like, or shit has changed. You've done this and that. Now it cannot happen. Or Shiv, I promised you the company in that reunion, but you're not getting it. You're not up to it. Or something like that. You know, some acknowledgement of what he has done, of the legacy he has created for his children. The good, but also the bad. And yeah, I don't know. I think maybe because in Logan's case it's not like acknowledged or something. It's not something that raises to light, I guess. It's something that you can only perceive through through the impact of his actions rather than from what he says. So yeah, I think that's kind of an element that's missing from the discussion. And also the hard part of it, it's the tragedy of the show. Jeremy, for example, does say that he views the show as kind of a tragedy, because people argue whether it's a tragedy or a comedy, and Jeremy says no, it's a tragedy. And I do think that that's the tragedy element. That's the tragical element. That it is sad that telling the truth is so fucking hard, and all the lies, all the two-facedness of the people, all the mingling of the characters, all that comes downstream of this being hard. And yeah, I think essentially basically that's all I wanted to say. Maybe a bit too long-winded for what it could have been, but it's also not too long. Hope the wind isn't too loud and you can hear me. But yeah, essentially I think that honesty is the theme that cuts through the show, and that it's like the main protagonist of all the relationships. And I don't know, I do think that I have something to learn from it, aside from like just seeing it play out from the outside. I do think that I have to see it play out from the inside too, you know, see myself in everyone, or like maybe not in everyone, but in every person that I see myself in, like see where that comes from, like what is the honesty thing that is like blocking stuff, or like making me two-faced, and that stuff. And that's what I wanted to, and that's like the connection on both romance, weird sex stuff, and like his kinks or his whatever, or his dysfunctional sex life, and with Tom and Shiv's relationship and their inability to trust each other, or like the inability for one to receive trust and the other to like stand up for himself, or to like not be stepped on, and yeah, and to also feel securely attached to someone.